Good morning, everyone. So, welcome to today's daily news analysis. As always, we are referring to the Hindu newspapers daily edition. Okay, so first of all, we have the same thing about the floods, so flood management, etc. We have to focus. So now Kerala is in a very not in a good shape. So repeat of 2018 is possible. So 2018 there was this Edupi floods that had taken place. Okay. So Taiwan issue. So we know that the Speaker of the US Congress went to Taiwan. China did not like it. It undertook military drills. Okay, so China holds military drills, fires missiles near Taiwan. Strings of death. Plea seeks ban on flying kites. So fine, these strings which are tied to the kite. So especially this Chinese strings or the Chinese manja. So these threads have this glass attached to it, glass stuck to it so that it is sharp and it is able to cut the opponent's kite. But because of this, it leads to death of the birds. So this is not good. Okay. So from time to time, this has been taken up. Now, recently, the High Court asks Delhi police to inform steps taken to implement the NGT's order regarding the banning of the sale of manja. Which manja? The Chinese manja. Okay, it's very clear. We get to know about the NGT. So NGT is in news. We should have basic idea about the NGT. And NGT is a very, very important body. So we should know about it. Okay. So it was established in 2010 under the National Green Tribunal Act 2010. Right. So it is a statutory body because it is created via a statute of the parliament. Okay. For what purpose? For environmental related issues. So cases related to environment protection and conservation of forest. So they come under the ambit of the National Green Tribunal. Okay. Is it similar to normal courts? No. The court comprises of judicial members and expert members. So both are adjudicating. So judges, proper judges, and experts in this field. Okay, so they are looking into it. Further, is it bound by the procedures of the court? No. The tribunal shall not be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908, but shall be guided by the principle of natural justice. So simple principles, processes have to be followed. And the idea is to fast track the cases related to the environment. So the idea is to help reduce the burden of litigation of the higher courts. The tribunal is mandated to make an endeavor for disposal of cases or appeals finally within 6 months of filing. So that is the idea. Okay. Where is it based? For example, we know Supreme Court is in Delhi. So where is it based? So the principal bench, the principal place of sitting of the tribunal is in Delhi. And besides this, there are 4 other places. So Bhopal, Pune, Kolkata, and Chennai. So, these things can be asked in the pre. So that is why I am doing this overall. Okay, so please feel free to explore more of the site. This will really help you. Okay, so moving on. So here. Chhattisgarh tribals' long arduous road to freedom. Right. So this is about this recent judgment of the NIA court, which last month acquitted 121 villagers arrested under the UAPA Unlawful Activities Prevention Act after the killing of 25 CRPF jawans in a 2017 Maoist. So 121 people were arrested. It was felt that this case was fabricated. Nothing much was there to implicate these people. Okay. So fine, we stop over here. So we find that innocent tribals, they get trapped into this conflict between the state and the Maoists. So that is one thing. Then lack of development processes. a lack of development overall. These people have been taken over and have been there in jail for, and that to 121 villages. Can we expect the same in Delhi, Chandigarh, or any other city, any other capital? No. Most likely, this is backward. People are less aware of their rights. Police has more of a free hand over here, and these things take place. Now, when these things take place, it further, it gives further boost to the militants, the Maoists or the Naxalites. So they are able to say that the state is against you, the state is exploiting you, and that further feeds, it fuels fire to this unrest over there, left-wing extremism. So this is actually the first chapter of your internal security, developmental processes, and this thing, internal security risks, challenges. Okay, so Friday, more of cinema actually in the news. Okay, so political processes remain in freeze in Jammu and Kashmir. This is actually an opinion given in this section over here, and when these things come, it's a rich source of information, a rich analysis actually. So this is very good. Okay, so naturally, we expect that after the revocation of Article 370, the things would get normalized in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. That is what the union was saying. Okay, so it seems that it hasn't really materialized. This has been 3 years around. That much time has taken place, but nothing significant has taken place. So it says that the gains have been made on many counts on the developmental side, investments, etc. They say that there's a possibility over here. I'll say possibility because they say that announcement of developmental projects, developmental schemes, but at the same time, we have this pointer over here, which says that apart from a 150 crore project of iron and steel plant to be set up in Kashmir's Pulwama, nothing major has been materialized. So all these things are there. They say, OYO says that we will create these homestays and all, but nothing really has materialized overall. So only this steel plant in South Kashmir's Pulwama. So anyways, we see a uptrend towards the development side. At least announcements are being made. Some progress is taking place. Okay, so that is fine. Now what we are seeing is, besides this, what we are seeing is that the security aspect, the idea is that Jammu and Kashmir falls into, there is normalization over there. This militancy, this unrest that is there, that should come down. So one of the officials over there has said that, see, security forces are on the edge. So on the edge means anytime you may have to get into action. You're sitting on the edge of the chair, so you're just about to rush. So they are on the edge, just as what it used to be in the past. So more or less the situation remains the same. Then besides, there are a number of NIA raids to crack down on the militants. So that is taking place. Residential properties of the militants have been attached, or people who are suspected have been attached overall. But at the same time, we are finding that the militancy is kind of changing its colors. One is that the militancy is spreading. So rather than being limited to a particular area, pockets, it is spreading to other areas. For example, militancy saw a spillover into the Chenab Valley and the Pir Panjal Valley, which was otherwise peaceful. So it is spreading over there. And this is very, very alarming. This one is that there is a fresh challenge that the youth who is joining militancy, the youth that is joining, so that youth is leading a normal life, normal routine life overall. And it is acting only when directed to act. They are not making social media announcements. They are not seeking fame at this point of time. Now, this is a reference to Burhan Wani. So Burhan Wani, one militant was there, 2016, lot of unrest had taken place when he died. So killed actually. So Burhan Wani used to post on social media, post with the gun and all those things. But these militants that are there, the present ones, they are leading a normal life. And when they are told at that time, they are indulging in this subversive activities. So naturally, it becomes difficult for the security forces to act, right? Them to identify who's a militant or not. So the only way that the things can be sorted, actually, if you want development, you want this unrest to be sorted. So when you want this, only way is the political processes have to be restored. The security agencies can only kill the militants, but you have something has to be done that the militants don't emerge. We find in the news that more and more of militants were killed, more and more of action took place, but then more militants are also coming. So we have to, address this breeding grounds of militancy. We have to address this, and that will take place when the political processes are restored. One way has to be electoral processes. So electoral processes should start. Politicians should meet the politicians who will ultimately rule the government. They should meet the people. So that process should initiate that. Once the atmosphere is created for them to meet, then the election processes must start. So that is not happening. That is the problem. Okay. So yeah. So let it be. Fine, Amisha in Karnataka. He was in my city also sometime back. Okay. No proposal pending with centre on shifting Andhra Pradesh High Court. Nothing really significant. It's just that Andhra Pradesh has almost all states have high courts. So this YS Jagan Mohan Reddy, the present Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, he had a plan that the state should have 3 centers of power. One for executive, one for judiciary, and other for legislature. So typically, the capitals have all these institutions at one place. To have decentralized development across the state, these arms of the agencies of the state must be in different places. That was his vision. One for executive, one for judiciary, and one for legislature. So presently, the High Court is in Amravati, and the proposal was that it should be shifted to Kurnool. So the law minister is saying at the moment there is no such proposal pending with the center. It is for the Andhra Pradesh government and the Andhra Pradesh High Court to decide. So that is what the Minister of Law is saying. Same thing, waiting for democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. This is exactly what I'm saying over here. Okay. This is about the spectrum auctions. I think we know enough about what is happening at this point of time. Spectrum auctions, 5 lakhs were claimed. We got 1.5 lakh crore. This revenue that should be generated from the proceeds of the spectrum should be used for developmental works, or it can be used for bridging fiscal deficit. Typical. Okay, I'm not read that, but that's the same thing. In fact, today itself, in the morning I was watching the TV, the same thing was coming on the TV also. No, not really required. Not required to spend so much time, so much energy, and wasting your this eye energy, which I feel, strains your eyes, so you're not able to study more. So, is the declining rupee a crisis or an opportunity? You say our exports have not gone going up. With the declining rupee, we expect the exports to go up, but that is not happening. At the same time, the imports are going up. And it's actually not imports are going up, it is import value that is going up, overall value of the imports. Obviously currency is depreciating, we are spending more dollars, we are spending more to buy the dollars and plus the price of the good. Now that is the basic issue. So declining rupee has not really visualized into a opportunity, right? So that is the basic issue over here. Rather, it is actually leading to inflation, burden on the consumer, increase in the raw material costs for the industry. So at the moment, it is still a crisis kind of a situation. That is why RBI is doing this open market operations, selling off $100 billion and selling off to normalize the rupee, or at least reduce the slide of the currency. Okay, so personal bank loans surge. So this is an indication of the economy actually. What are the consumers doing? Because at the end of the day, consumers, citizens, people in the country. So what has been noticed is that personal bank loans, typical bank loans for car, auto, housing, whatever, these are on the rise. This is despite the fact that to control inflation, the interest rate is going up. That means the cost of borrowing is going up because you have to pay more interest to get loans. Okay, so that is going up. And further, when you are spending at this point of time, when the inflation is also rising, so you're borrowing money and then spending this, and the inflation is rising. So this is kind of a double whammy. So in this situation, people are, spending more, taking loans and spending more. So that is what this is about. So see over here, this is a breakup of the loans for the agriculture and allied sector. This is more or less consistent, 1% around that figure. Industry, 2%. January, February is on the high, but otherwise it was very, very low. Okay, then comes the personal loans. So this is on the rise, 3.973%. So it's on the uptrend. So what explains? So let's look at this chart over here. Housing loan lead to growth. So people are investing more in the housing sector. So less credit card, education, that is fine. That's below the normal. Okay, so that is there. Besides automobile loans, vehicle loans are also on the high. Okay, so that is the thing. Now, before making an assessment, one must be mindful that people are spending more. People must be earning more. They'll be able to afford the EMIs. That is one way of looking at that way. But we cannot make a generic assessment of the overall economy. Now, there are many peoples in our country, so one working in the informal sector, that is bulk of the population. That is, there is lower middle class, there is middle class, there is higher middle class. So each has different aspirations, different priorities, right? So we can't look at it from that point of view. But yes, personal bank loans have increased. That's what it is. That's all. Okay. I'm not doing this. Let's look at the data over here. So arrests associated with the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, 4690. Now, please, this is very, very important. You saw this twice in the news today, one for the tribal and one now over here. And I think Jammu and Kashmir also, UAPA must be there in that article. Okay. UPSC asked a question, not really sure 2019 or 20, but it asked a question with reference to the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. In fact, in that year, an amendment was made and the provisions of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act were made more stringent. And you have it in the news also, some person or the other is arrested under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And in this, the getting bail or getting out of jail is very, very difficult. Right, so this was asked, we should have an analysis on this. Twice it has come up, so we should be prepared for this. Okay, Women Carter, this is talking about the paramilitary forces. So there is reservation, 33% of posts for women in CRPF and the CISF. Right, so only in these paramilitary, the reservation is that for 33%. So that is there. Others have a much lower quota of women. BSF, etc. is much lesser. So we have 34,151 this thing. Dengue is on the rise, 14,077 number of cases, right? So please take care of these mosquitoes and all. Okay. Anganwadis, it's a very important thing, but still it is on rent. So 3.57 in lakh it is on rent, and it is for the purpose of the developmental schemes for the children and the women, right? Children in the age group of 0 to 6 years for that purpose. Okay, I have a video also on this 10-11 per minute video, so do look at this. This is very, very important. ICDS and Anganwadis. IS vacancies at 1472. Please don't be happy. Nothing really happens because of this. Okay, so next is Kansas win on abortion and its bearing on US states. Again, not really important. It's just that we should know what is happening in the US. That's all. So in this landmark case, in this US Supreme Court, there was a case known as Roe versus Wade judgment, in which the Supreme Court of USA had said that abortion is not a constitutional right. It is not a constitutional right. Okay, so that the Supreme Court had said. Okay. Now in America, USA, there are these states. Each state has their own constitution, and a lot of differences are there across the state and the country. So in US, an amendment was brought in the state known as Kansas. So here an amendment was brought to provide that the state does not require government funding of abortion or does not create or secure a right to abortion. So an amendment was brought to the present abortion law, right? Whatever that law is, an amendment was brought basically saying that from now on, it will not be a right. Right to abortion is not basically a right. Okay, so that was said. Now this was in US, in the state of Kansas, there is a provision of referendum, an instrument of direct democracy. So a referendum had taken place, right? So people's view were to be taken up. The proposal has come that this is the thing that we want to change. And since this is an issue of great public importance, obviously abortion, so people's view was to be taken in, or people's opinion was to be referred. That's why referendum. So this thing was to be, put to vote. The people said, no, we don't want this. So this is kind of a challenge to what has happened at their federal level, at the central level. Right, so this is it. This is what it is. And obviously their Republic Party is a more conservative party. They want this abortion should not be there. This constitutional right should not be there. And the Democrats, freedom, more freedom to the people, more liberal opinion. They want this abortion law should be, this abortion should be a right. So on that basis, they may go with the elections, the upcoming elections. Okay, so this is it. See, we learn about referendum. What is referendum? Instruments of direct democracy. Should this be there in India or not? It's not really a main thing, but it's still an opinion as such that should we have these instruments in India or not? What would be the challenges? So we can think on those lines. Oh, obsession with the movies today. Yeah. Okay. See, here there is a quiz, right? Please do it. Please do it. This will help you. UPSC, these are questions at the end of the day. UPSC is making questions. So please go through these. These can be important. Yeah, some news over here. Navy women pilots start a new course. This is the first full women mission that was there. So the entire team was women, and they were undergoing a reconnaissance and surveillance mission. Reconnaissance is basically the plane goes, observes what is happening, and then comes back. That's all. So all women mission. This was an all women mission. That's all. Okay. This is important. New Delhi maintains studied silence on Taiwan. Okay. In fact, if we just treat this, we don't have to go beyond. We just don't have to go beyond. It's for students who are preparing for them, yes, because they get to know about what all things are happening. So that thing is there. But this alone is sufficient. India avoids controversy at a sensitive time in border talks, which does not wish to claim allegiance to the one China policy either. Fine. So Taiwan, China is People's Republic of China, the mainland China, and Taiwan is actually Republic of China. So it's basically part of your world history. Both countries, the Republic of China was being ruled by the people who were ruling China at one point of time, and their idea was to get back China. And People's Republic of China also want to get back this land, which is known as Taiwan. Okay. So People's Republic of China has been telling other countries that, see, this is actually China. This is not Taiwan, this is actually China. And so there is only one China. So all countries must agree to this fact that there is only one China. That is, there are no two Chinas, Taiwan or there are no two Chinas, there is only one China, and that is People's Republic of China. So that is the one China policy. And because of its might, because of its heft, it is able to make states do that, even USA. The USA also says they are firm to the one China policy. Now, India, I mean, India could have, I mean, this concerns India, but India has been very, very quiet on this issue. They haven't really said anything on this. So Mr. Jaishankar was attending an ASEAN India summit in a place known as in Cambodia, basically. Right. So this is the place, so capital of Cambodia. So he was here, and there was no reference of this thing. They talked about multiple issues, right? When this press briefing takes place after the meeting has taken place, and they say what we said, what they said. So I mean, they may have talked about it internally, but publicly they didn't say anything. So they talked about Indo-Pacific, UNCLOS, connectivity, COVID-19, terrorism, Ukraine, cybersecurity. So all these issues, but they never talked about one China policy, which is right in the neighborhood of the ASEAN. How can that be, right? Okay, so this they talked. They also talked about Sri Lanka and promoting accountability of the Myanmar regime's atrocities. Right, so all these issues had come up, but they didn't talk about the one China policy. Now, naturally, this could be because we are already having these border talks at the Ladakh, right? So we are having border talks. It's very, very sensitive at that point of time. So then we don't want to offend China here. And at the same time, why should we say one China policy when the Chinese do not accept one India policy? So India should also accept the one India principle. They are this thing Belt and Road Initiative, China Pakistan Economic Corridor, Belt and Road Initiative, China Pakistan Economic Corridor going through the Indian side of Kashmir. Can you visualize Pakistan, India? So Indian side of Kashmir, I mean Pakistan side of Kashmir, it is going, but it's Pakistan occupied Kashmir. They are not going by this principle. They are taking over our territories, Arunachal Pradesh. They are claiming that it is there. They have renamed the cities in their language known as Mandarin. More and more settlements are taking place. So if they are not sensitive to our concerns, then why should we also say that there is one China policy? So we have not been talking about it only. One time we used to say, but since 2008 we have been very, very quiet on this issue. We haven't denied one China policy, nor we have said that we are part of we agree with this one China policy. So we just silent about this. That's all. But the Sri Lanka and Pakistan were extremely dependent on China, so they have said that we affirm to the one China policy. Nobody asked them, but still they said. Okay. Fine. So CGI proposes UU Lalit as successor. That was expected. RS passes family courts bill amid protests over ED actions. Fine. Rajya Sabha passes. What this family courts bill will do, I mean, there's some thing that has taken up. I'm not very sure because it is talking mainly about setting up of this thing in Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland with retrospective effect. We already know that there are family courts in our country, right? So this is only about Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland. But yes, what we can do is we can look up this issue of alternative dispute resolution. So ADRs, alternate dispute resolution mechanism. So assessment of that, we can look at it from that point of view, right? Those institutions, what are the pros and cons? Why should we promote that? So that we can do it. There are hardly any cons actually. Yes, it could be an assessment that certain type of court is not doing well. So maybe that we can critically examine that. But yes, this is widely accepted that it should be done. Fine. Prime Minister Modi has been saying that the BJP cadre must work for the upliftment of the marginal Muslims. High-tech radicals turning Assam into a Islamist. This is internal security, so technology, and militancy. Now, this next news is particularly important. That is about the EPS, or the Employee Pension Scheme. So basically, UPSC can first ask you about the eligibility or basic elements of this EPS so we should know. Okay. So, it is for people who are employed, so employees. So they can make contribution to this EPFO. It's more or less mandatory actually. So EPFO. So employees make contribution as well as the employers. So both have to make a contribution. So based on this, after attaining an age of, let's say, 58 years, the retirement age, the people start to get pensions. So they start to get monthly pension. So this is the employee pension scheme. It is being administered by the EPFO, and it's associated with the Ministry of Labor. I remember this has been asked in the pre-examination, which ministry administers the EPFO. Okay, so this is it. Let's look at more details about this. Yeah. So see, so members of EPFO get pension benefits when they retire at the age of 58 years. The minimum service period is 10 years, and yeah, so this is it basically. So the thing is, like UPSC can ask you that is it for central government, is it for state government? No, right? Because there is no mention as such of this. All it says is you must be a member of the EPFO. That's all. You must have attained the age of 50 for early pension and 58 years for regular pension. So that's all that is available, and it is sponsored by the Indian government. There is no investment risk, and the returns are fixed and no changes will be made. It is guaranteed by the government itself, right? So this basically you should study. This eligibility type of things are being asked in the pre-exam. Okay, now this is there in the news because EPFO has said that, see, we do not have much money. So we do not have much money, and we are having financial difficulties. So we have revised the EPS. So one revision that has taken up is that employees' pension, right? Whosoever gets retired, so the pension that comes to them, it is assessed on the parameter what was their last drawn salary. So what was the salary of their last 12 months? So that was the traditional norm. Now this has been revised. So they say that from now we'll be looking at the pension, the salary that was from 12 to 60 months, right? So 1 year to 60 months, that is 1 to 5 years. So naturally your salary of any person keeps increasing with each promotion, right? With your age, with your time in your service, your salary keeps getting increased. But if 12 month salary is only taken into account, naturally salary would be higher. But if you take the next, I mean, these last 5 years salary also, your amount will actually come down. The assessment, the pension that has to be given will come down. So there would be 40% difference in the salary and at least 20% change in the pension. So this has been challenged in the court. Challenged in the Supreme Court. Okay, and the people who are challenged this, they are saying that they have adequate money, the money that they are earning from interests, because the money has been parked. The employees have been paying salary, their part of the salary from a very, very long time. So this money is parked in the EPFO. So this EPFO is earning huge amount of interest. The interest that they are earning is much more than the pension that they are giving out eventually. So it is much more than that. Okay, so finally we are concluding so quickly. So after Taiwan visit, Pelosi wraps up South Korea visit. Right, so yeah, Sri Lanka firmly committed to one China policy. They have to be because they want money also. Okay, Bilawal stops in Chittagong. Iran nuclear talks restart in Vienna with EU mediation. Fine, so some progress on this Iran nuclear talks. Inflation driving 8% of GST revenue rise. Remember I told you imports thing also. The imports are rising because of the imports that we are doing. The value of imports is increasing, so our import number is increasing. So likewise, inflation. Now, because of inflation, the price of commodity is going up. So GST is what? 18% of whatever is the GST. GST is a percentage of tax on the price. So if the price is increasing, naturally the GST collection in absolute numbers will also increase. So that is the reason. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a good thing basically. Okay. So this is coming from this SBI research, and it also says that the current account deficit is widening to 3.7% of the GDP. So we get some numbers over here. Okay. Interestingly, I have not been able to find this percentage GDP except for this over here. So SBI research sees current account deficit widening to 3.7%. Bank of England raises rate by most since 1995, forms of pain. So once again raises rate, US Federal Bank raises rate. So the people who had invested in the country, they would like to go back to their home country because there they will get better returns, plus the currencies also would be stable. Right, so that is the basic thing. Okay, rupees gets 25 paisa on weak export, PMI data. Next is the spectrum allocation by August 12th. So says Vaishnav, so Minister of IT, and he says harmonization process done in a day. So what is this harmonization process? All this bidding is taking place for the radio waves. So let's say there are these bandwidths A, B, C, D, E, F. Just for convenience, I'm doing this. So Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani, Vodafone Idea. So 3 people auctioned. So Ambani got this, he got G, it's like that. So this will be very difficult to operate. Likewise, Vodafone Idea got this, it will be difficult to operate. So harmonization is that the bandwidths, the ones that are auctioned, they are combined into a block and given to a person. Otherwise, this will be very complicated. So the spectrum harmonization process brings together radio wave holdings within a band into one contiguous block with consensus of all telecom service providers. So this was done in a day. Fine, I think most of it would be automated only. So it has to be done. Okay, National Motorcycle Racing this weekend. So Motorcycle Racing Championship, Rajni Krishnan, number 16-7, heads this thing. Okay. Indian girls lose to Argentina where in the World Junior Under 14 tennis finals. Fine, so it's taking place in Argentina. Okay, then there is this Birmingham Games. So we have this thing, right? So yeah, you can see the headline itself. I think that's sufficient. Right, so this basically concludes our analysis. So thank you for streaming in to our channel IASPrimers with me, Shubhashish. Bye bye, all the best.